In this video, we're going to talk about how to make basic shapes, what you can do with them, and how to save your file. So if we look over here at your tool panel, I want to draw your attention right here to the rectangle shape. So if I click on this rectangle shape, we can draw out a rectangle. If I hold down Shift, we can draw a square. Something I want to show you here is that whenever one of these tools has a little white triangle at the corner, that means that there are other tools nested under them. So nested under the rectangle tool is the ellipse tool. So let's click on that. And notice that they have different shortcuts. Whenever you look at a tool, if it has a shortcut, it will be listed there. So now let's choose the ellipse tool, and that lets you draw ellipses. If I hold Shift down, it'll draw a perfect circle. Without Shift, it doesn't. This is your selection tool. The selection tool doesn't have anything nested under it. If you're interested, you can just go snooping around and see what other tools are here. But for now, these are the key tools to look at. With the selection tool, I can select a shape and I can move the shape. I can also change the shape. I want to point out also that this looks like, these shapes all just look like they are just outlines of shapes, but if we move them off of our white page onto the workspace, you'll see that they are actually filled in with white. A note about the artboard and the workspace is that your artboard is the printable space, and the workspace is just somewhere where you can keep things that you're looking at, but you're not sure you want to commit to. If you need more space on your artboard, you can just move things around. But whatever is on this white space over here, that's what's going to print if you were to print something, and it's what would save if you saved a JPEG or a PDF. Okay, so the selection tool lets you move shapes, it lets you resize shapes, it lets you rotate the shapes, but I also want to show you how you can change the color and the outline of the shape. Over here in the Properties panel, and you'll notice if you're watching the sides of the video and not just the center, that when you click on things, the Property panel actually changes and responds to what you're clicking. So let me show you. If I click away and nothing is selected, right now we have properties that let us change the artboard. It lets us add grids or rulers. I actually really like the rulers. I find them to be helpful. But this is just general page options that you can fiddle with. If you click on a shape, now the property panel responds to that and gives you these options over here to reflect what you're working on. Note that everything that the property panel would change to has a corresponding window. Using the property panel just makes it so you don't need to have a bunch of open windows. Okay, so here I want to show you that we can change the fill, that's the inside of the shape. Over here, whatever you click on, it will change to. You can also change it more gradually by using the sliders. I'm going to stick with the swatches for now. I also want to point out that we opened the swatches panel and that's on the side here if you put it there, but we don't need it right now. And you can also change the stroke. The stroke is the outline. You can change the color of the stroke and you can change the weight of the stroke. Now, you can also change, let's say you don't actually need there to be a fill. You can have no fill at all. That would be over here. And let's make the stroke a lot heavier so we can see it. Okay, and now we can tell that there's no fill because we can see through it. Similarly, we can have a fill without a stroke. See? No outline. Okay, so that's filling shapes, that's moving shapes. Once you take the fill off, that means that when you want to move the shape, you have to actually click the outline because there's nothing in the center anymore. It's just a line now. Okay, and I just want to point out also the different selection tools. So the regular selection tool, which you get by hitting the letter V, that's going to let you change the shape and the placing of the whole shape. But then you have the direct selection tool, which you can get by hitting the letter A. Shortcuts are very helpful, though they will drastically improve your workflow. A and V are probably the ones you're going to use the most because the selection tools are the most used tools. And they are A and V on a Mac and on a PC. The direct selection tool lets you move points, and we're going to talk about this in its own video, but just so you know, the selection tool lets you change the shape as a whole, and the direct selection tool lets you change parts of the shape individually. Okay, now when you're ready to save your file, what you're going to do is go to File, Save As, if this is the first time you're saving the file, and you're going to choose where to save it. Now I'm going to create a new folder. I suggest all of you do that. New folder, and we can call this graphic design class or whatever you want to call it, and save all of your work to that folder. It'll make it a lot easier to find. Now obviously this is a Mac, so this is happening in Finder. If you're working on a PC, you'll be doing this in the My Computer window, and then you just hit create, and whatever you titled it in the first place is what it's going to be called, and then you hit save. I recommend saving early and saving often.